Donald Trump thought he could corner Barack Obama with noise blame and accusations. But what he said next would prove why true leadership is rooted in strength and truth, not volume. It was a moment that didn't just grab attention, it froze it. The year was 2025. Donald Trump, back in the White House, was no stranger to spectacle. His presidency had been defined by bold statements, sharp words, and headline-making challenges. And tonight, he was ready to add yet another chapter to that story. The cameras were rolling. The crowd buzzed with anticipation. Trump stood tall, his presence filling the room. His voice rising like a gathering storm. And then, with his signature combination of showmanship and force, he aimed directly at a man who had once held the office he now occupied, Barack Obama. For years, Trump and Obama had engaged in a quiet war of words. But this wasn't quiet anymore. This was live. Raw. Trump leaned forward, his tone sharp, his hand cutting through the air like a whip. "Obama," he thundered, "you left this country in trouble. You left our borders weak. You left businesses broken. Your so-called healthcare plan failed millions. Your policies failed America." The audience shifted. Some cheered. Others sat frozen. But Trump wasn't finished. He wanted more than applause. He wanted a duel. "Come out and debate me," he dared, his voice echoing through the hall. "The American people deserve the real facts. I know you can't handle the truth. I'm ready to expose the failures and show who really helped this country." The words hung like a challenge in the air. And that's exactly how Trump meant it. This wasn't about discussion or debate charts. It was about spectacle, about dominating the stage with sheer energy and force. Trump didn't just argue, he overwhelmed. He didn't just criticize, he accused. He didn't just debate, he performed. And now he wanted Obama in the spotlight on the defensive, answering every charge in front of the nation. Whispers filled the room. Could this really happen? Would Obama step onto the stage with Trump, live, unfiltered, and unscripted? The stakes were clear: two presidents, two legacies, two vastly different leadership styles. On one side, Trump, loud, brash, unpredictable. A man thriving on energy and confrontation. On the other, Obama, calm, measured, a speaker known for keeping his cool under pressure. This was no ordinary challenge. It was a clash of opposites, a showdown people had imagined but never expected to see. As Trump's words echoed, the tension only grew. Cameras zoomed in. The audience leaned forward. Everyone wanted to know. How would Obama respond? Would he ignore it? Dismiss it? Walk away? Would he fight back with equal fire or use his trademark calm, slicing through Trump's storm? With precision. Trump believed he already had the upper hand. His challenge was crafted carefully, every word chosen to corner Obama: refuse and look weak. Accept, and Trump could overpower him with volume. It was a move only Trump would make, part performance, part gamble, part high-stakes showdown. And the stakes were enormous. This wasn't just Trump versus Obama. It was Trump attempting to rewrite the last decade's story, standing on stage as the man who had saved America from failure. For the audience, it felt less like politics and more like a heavyweight fight. The air was thick with suspense. The dare had been issued. All eyes turned to one man, Barack Obama. Would he rise? Would he let Trump define the moment? Or would he flip the challenge, quiet the storm, and reclaim control in his own way? No one in the room knew yet. But history had just been set in motion. Trump wasted no time. He grabbed the microphone and came out swinging, his energy familiar and unrelenting. Obama's healthcare plan left millions without coverage. Families were struggling. Businesses were hurting. People couldn't afford doctors. His words landed like punches. Then another strike. Energy policies destroyed jobs. Small businesses closed. Factories shuttered. America was held back by regulations. And the border week broken out of control. Who fixed it? I did. I put America first. I made this country safe again. Each statement was sharp, aimed to wound. Every gesture amplified his attack. Trump's fingers jabbed, his hands chopped through the air, his face lit with intensity. He wasn't building an argument, he was building a storm, aimed directly at Obama. The strategy was clear. Overwhelm paint. Obama's years as disaster, paint himself as savior. Proof and nuance didn't matter. Fast, hard, loud, leave no breathing room for the opponent. The audience could feel the weight of every sentence. The tension was palpable. Would Obama fight back? Would he match Trump? Blow for blow, or freeze under the barrage? People leaned forward. Cameras fixed on Obama, searching for a twitch, a sign that Trump's words landed. But Obama remained still. Calm, his eyes steady, his face unreadable. Trump sensed the silence and pushed harder. I saved this country from disaster. I turned it around fast. Obama left chaos. I delivered strength. That's the truth. Whether he admits it or not, cheers erupted. The room shook with sound. Trump soaked in the energy, believing he had delivered the first strongest blow. But beneath the surface, something else was happening. While Trump swung wildly, Obama had not moved, not a word, not a flinch. He was waiting, watching, calculating. For those familiar with his style, that silence wasn't weakness, it was warning. The louder Trump became, the more people wondered what would happen when Obama finally spoke. Would he break under the volume, or do what he always did, heat for the storm to peak, then cut through it with calm precision? One thing was certain, the stage was charged with suspense. Trump had landed the first strike, but the moment Obama opened his mouth, everything could change. The storm raged. Trump's voice boomed like thunderclaps, one after another. The crowd was restless, caught between cheers and murmurs. And through it all, Obama sat still, unwavering. Then the room quieted. Trump's final words lingered in the air. Cameras, eyes, heartbeats all turned toward Obama. Would he respond with fire, or cut through it all with calm, undeniable facts? The pause stretched thick with suspense, and then Obama leaned forward. His voice, steady and composed, carried across the hall. "Mr. Trump," he began slowly, deliberately, "let's base this on real facts, not just loud words." In that instant, the energy shifted. Calm replaced chaos. His tone wasn't angry. It wasn't rushed. It was steady, controlled, almost surgical. And then, with quiet authority, Obama began to lay out the proof. When Obama spoke, the room changed instantly. The storm of Trump's voice, all force and fury, seemed to shrink against the calm weight of facts. "When I took office," Obama continued, "this nation was facing the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Millions had lost jobs. Millions had lost homes. Families were terrified about the future." The room went silent. Each word he spoke carried quiet authority, landing with precision rather than force. "We worked. We fought. We created over 11 million new jobs. Unemployment dropped from 10% to 4.7%. That is not opinion. That is fact." There was no need for shouting. There were no dramatic gestures, no raised voice. The power was in the truth, in the numbers, in the undeniable results. The contrast with Trump's booming attacks was stark. The audience felt it immediately. The storm had met calm, and calm was winning. Obama's words moved seamlessly into healthcare. We passed the Affordable Care Act. For the first time, over 20 million Americans had health coverage. Families could see doctors without fear of catastrophic medical bills. Children got care. Parents could sleep at night knowing a single illness wouldn't ruin everything. The crowd listened, some leaning forward, absorbing each line. The quiet precision of his speech had an effect far greater than the volume Trump had relied on. It wasn't just rebuttal, it was demonstration. Obama was showing what leadership looked like in action: steady, deliberate, effective. Then came energy and the environment. We invested billions in clean energy. Wind and solar power grew faster than ever before. That created jobs, cleaned the air, and moved America forward instead of backward. He paused for effect, letting the facts sink in. Each statement landed cleanly, a contrast to the flurry of accusations Trump had fired moments earlier. And when Obama turned to the border, he was equally composed. Yes, we strengthened security. We reduced illegal crossings. We respected human rights. We didn't just shout about the problem, we worked on it. We made progress. The words weren't flashy or loud, but they carried undeniable weight. The room felt the shift. The storm of Trump's thunderous claims was being replaced by a steady, unstoppable current of evidence. Then Obama delivered the line that resonated most. Leadership, he said, his tone now sharper, is about facts and actions. Not blame, not shouting, not distractions. Mr. Trump, your way is to divide and distract. America needs unity. Honest work for the future. Progress matters, even if it's imperfect. It was quiet, deliberate, and devastatingly effective. The point landed harder than any shout could. Obama had not only defended himself, but had turned Trump's own stage to a platform for proof. The audience could feel it, the difference between noise and substance. The storm had come, but the calm had prevailed. Trump, in contrast, grew restless. His rapid-fire responses now sounded defensive. Talking about the past won't fix today, he snapped, trying to reclaim momentum. I'm delivering fast results. I put America first. The country wants action, not excuses. But this time, the words lacked the force they usually carried. The audience, freshly reminded what calm, fact-based leadership looked like, was less impressed by the volume. Some faces that had cheered Trump earlier were now thoughtful. Others glanced at each other silently, acknowledging the weight of Obama's evidence. The silence that followed Trump's defensive attempts wasn't controlled. It was uneasy. Doubt had crept in. Trump tried again, raising his voice higher. We don't need excuses. We need action, and I am the one delivering it. But the rhythm was off. He was reacting, not leading. In debates, that shift is critical, and the audience sensed it. The spotlight that had been Trump's now felt subtly, but undeniably, shifted. Meanwhile, Obama needed no further words. His calm composure spoke volumes. He had laid out his case with clarity, facts, and results. By simply standing steady, he reminded everyone that truth does not require shouting. Facts have weight that volume cannot match. Slowly, applause began to ripple through the room. Not explosive, not chaotic, it's steady and clear. Not for Trump's defense, but for Obama's calm, undeniable presentation of the truth. Each clap, measured and deliberate, emphasized that the audience recognized a different kind of power, the power of substance over spectacle. Trump's frustration was visible. His jaw tightened. His eyes narrowed. He tried to shout over the mounting recognition, but no matter how loud he grew, the energy had changed. He had entered as the storm, all thunder and fury. Obama had answered with calm clarity, and suddenly the storm felt less like strength and more like noise. The contrast was unmistakable. The room had witnessed two very different approaches to leadership. Trump, all aggressive motion and loud accusations, attempted to dominate the moment through intensity. Obama, quiet, measured, and precise, demonstrated how truth backed by results carries more weight than any performance. For a moment, the audience sat in stunned silence. The energy had shifted. Eyes darted between the two men. On one side, Trump flushed and restless, struggling to regain control. On the other, Obama composed and confident, his point made, without a single raised hand. The lesson was clear. Leadership isn't measured by how loudly one can speak, but by what one accomplishes. Trump had tried to rattle, to overwhelm, to dominate through sheer force. But Obama had shown that quiet clarity and proven results carry an enduring weight no amount of shouting could overshadow. Even as Trump continued to speak, the room's attention had subtly shifted. The audience was processing what they had just heard. The quiet power of fact and results was now setting the rhythm. Trump's attempts to reclaim dominance sounded increasingly reactive, almost desperate. And across the room, millions watching at home were seeing the same thing. Two amid presidents. Two approaches, one built on volume, emotion, and confrontation. The other built on facts, results, and calm authority. In the end, it wasn't the man who shouted the loudest that left an impression. It was the man who spoke with clarity and proved his point with evidence. The applause for Obama continued quiet, but firm. It wasn't dramatic hand gestures or high-decibel theatrics that earned it. It was the undeniable truth of his words. The storm of noise had met calm precision, and calm had won. Trump's booming attacks were now contrasted sharply with the weight of verified accomplishments. The audience, the cameras, and the nation at large could feel it. The moment had turned. And in that shift, the broader lesson was undeniable. Leadership, Obama demonstrated, isn't about tearing others down. It's about lifting people up, delivering results, and speaking truth without distraction. Even mistakes or imperfections matter less than the progress achieved and the lives changed. Trump had dared Obama, confident he could dominate and rattle him. But Obama's calm, precise responses revealed something deeper: the enduring power of truth over noise, facts over theatrics. The debate had changed. The room had changed, and everyone present knew they had witnessed a defining moment. Not about politics, not about personal attacks, but about the essence of leadership itself. As the applause for Obama's calm, fact-based statement settled, the room remained charged with a different kind of energy. Trump's face flushed, his gestures more frantic as he tried to wrest back control. "Facts are fine," he said, his voice rising, "but America needs action. I deliver results fast. I put this country first, and the people want leadership. They can see in real time." But the impact of Obama's words had already taken hold. The audience was no longer reacting to volume or theatrics. They were responding to clarity, substance, and results. Trump's attempts to dominate the moment felt reactive, defensive, almost hurried. His usual rhythm, the confident cadence that commanded attention, was disrupted. He was chasing the energy he once owned, but it had quietly slipped from his grasp. Obama didn't need to raise his voice or make dramatic gestures. His presence alone communicated authority. Each word, carefully chosen and delivered with steady calm, carried more weight than 100 shouted accusations. He had shown, not just claimed, the achievements of his presidency. Millions of jobs created. Unemployment drastically reduced. Healthcare coverage expanded, clean energy initiatives launched, and border security strengthened without compromising human rights. Then, leaning slightly forward, Obama addressed Trump directly, his tone deliberate. Mr. Trump leadership isn't about creating chaos, blaming others, or trying to overwhelm the conversation with noise. Leadership is about facts, actions, and results. You can shout all you want, but results speak louder than volume. America needs unity, not division. We need leaders who show measurable progress, not just strong rhetoric. The room went quiet again. It wasn't an oppressive silence. It was a silence filled with recognition. Even those who had supported Trump were now forced to consider the weight of Obama's argument. The calm truth was undeniable, a stark contrast to the storm of accusations that had dominated the first half of the debate. Trump tried one more time to regain the upper hand. Excuses won't build a future. Action builds the future, and I deliver action. I've turned this country around. I've protected our borders. I've created opportunities, but his words fell flat. The audience had already seen the difference. They had witnessed the effectiveness of leadership rooted in proof, action, and clarity versus leadership built on aggression, spectacle, and accusation. Trump's attempts to reclaim momentum sounded hollow, the rhythm broken. The energy in the room now subtly favored Obama. Obama's calm composure had become a statement in itself. He didn't need to interrupt or counter every point. By maintaining steady focus, he demonstrated that results matter more than theatrics. Every eye in the room, every camera capturing the moment had witnessed it, the power of measured, fact-based leadership. Then came the defining moment. Obama looked directly at the audience, his voice clear, strong yet calm. Leadership is not measured by how loud you speak, how fast you react, or how much chaos you create. Leadership is measured by the lives you touch, the progress you make, and the truths you uphold. I am not perfect, and no leader is. But we can measure the results of real work. That is what matters. The room reacted again this time with a sustained, thoughtful applause. It wasn't the loud, ecstatic cheering of a crowd caught up in spectacle. It was the deliberate acknowledgement of substance. Viewers at home were feeling the shift as well. Across the nation, people recognized the contrast between two approaches, one based on volume and blame, the other on clarity and achievement. Trump, increasingly frustrated, raised his voice higher, his gestures becoming sharper. Action is what matters. Not talking, not excuses, I am delivering. But it was too late. The impact of Obama's statements had already set the tone. The audience, having absorbed the calm, factual presentation, was no longer responding to the bluster. The debate's momentum had shifted. Trump had entered as a storm, but the storm had been met with calm, and calm had prevailed. The lesson was clear to everyone present, and watching at home leadership isn't about dominating a room with sound and fury. It's about delivering results that can be measured, facts that can be verified, and progress that can be seen and felt. Obama had reminded the nation that true influence comes from substance, not spectacle. As the debate drew to a close, Trump's voice, though still loud, had lost its edge. He was reacting, chasing control, trying desperately to reclaim authority that had quietly slipped away. Meanwhile, Obama's composure remained intact. He had spoken last, and in debate, speaking last leaves the most lasting impression. His calm truth had carried further than any shouted accusation ever could. In that room, the cameras captured it all. The audience, once primed for the chaos Trump excelled in, was now quiet, reflective, and engaged in a different way. Obama had not just defended himself, he had subtly taught a lesson in leadership. Results, clarity and steady action outweigh noise, chaos, and bluster. Trump's approach, fast, loud, and aggressive, looked fragile in comparison. Volume can shake a room, but truth carries weight that noise cannot match. The contrast was unmistakable. For once, the man who relied on the storm found himself caught in silence, forced to react rather than control. Obama had transformed what could have been a chaotic clash into a showcase of disciplined, fact-based leadership. He didn't need dramatic gestures, loud interruptions, or theatrical accusations. His calm, evidence-driven approach commanded attention, subtly reshaping the room's perception. It wasn't about winning applause. It was about proving competence and integrity. By the time the lights dimmed and the cameras pulled back, the message was clear: leadership is not measured by how forcefully one can shout, but by the impact of one's actions and the clarity of one's truth. Trump had tried to dominate the debate with energy and aggression. Obama had answered with calm authority and results. And in that contrast, history had quietly taken note. The audience, the nation, and millions watching at home understood what had just occurred. The clash wasn't just about politics, healthcare, jobs, or borders. It was about the essence of leadership itself. And the lesson resonated universally: noise can command attention, but truth earns respect. Trump had dared Obama, confident he could rattle him and dominate the stage. Yet in the end, it was Obama's composure, clarity, and factual evidence that defined the debate. The room had chosen substance over spectacle. The storm had been met with calm, and calm had prevailed. That night, viewers across the country witnessed more than a debate. They witnessed a demonstration of leadership in action. Loudness can dominate a moment, but measured truth leaves a lasting imprint. Obama had shown that enduring authority doesn't come from shouting. It comes from proof, clarity, and steady commitment to results. The final lesson was simple but profound in the end. It wasn't the man who shouted the loudest that left the deepest impression. It was the man who spoke with clarity, backed by facts, and delivered undeniable results. That night, Barack Obama had not just defended his legacy, he had reminded a nation what true leadership really looks like: